My fists clench under the table, nails bite into my palms, sharp, stinging. The pain's a quiet rebellion, a tether to keep me grounded. Laughter crashes around me, cruel, relentless, bouncing off the high ceilings of the dining room. It's a long, cold space, all polished mahogany and stiff-backed chairs, a battlefield I never signed up for. My father, Richard Vaughn, smirks from across the table, his eyes glinting with that familiar disdain. 55 years old, gray creeping into his temples. But he's still the king here, or so he thinks. The long stretch of wood between us feels like a no-man's land, gleaming under the chandelier's harsh light. "You're a disgrace to this family, Ophelia," he says, voice dripping venom. "A failure." Each word lands like a slap, deliberate, honed from years of practice. My mother Margaret sits beside him, 53, poised, her face a mask of indifference. She nods along, a faint tilt of her head, like she's agreeing with the weather report. No fight in her, never has been. Ethan, my brother, leans back in his chair, 30 and smug as hell. His grin's wide, basking in the glow of Dad's praise like a spoiled prince. The golden boy, untouchable. "Thanks, Dad," Ethan drawls, voice lazy, confident. He doesn't even look at me, just soaks it in, king of his little court. Around us, the room's packed, extended family, business partners, so-called friends. Aunts and uncles, cousins I barely know, suits with slick smiles. All gathered for what was billed as a peaceful family dinner. Bullshit. Their eyes are on me, some sharp with judgment, others gleaming with pity. I'm the sideshow, the black sheep they whisper about, over wine. I swallow hard, force the tears back, hot, threatening. My chest aches, a tight knot of rage and shame. Won't break, I tell myself. Not here, not now, not in front of them. My nails dig deeper, blood prickling under the skin. The laughter echoes again. Richard's, Ethan's, a chorus of cruelty. I stare at the table, at the perfect shine of it, and think about smashing it, about screaming, about anything but sitting here, silent, taking it. They've done this before, torn me down piece by piece. But tonight, the air feels thicker, heavier, like something's waiting to snap. The air thickens, judgment chokes it. Whispers slither through the room, soft and venomous, like snakes under the table. I catch fragments. Poor Ophelia. Such a shame. What did she expect? Each one a needle under my skin. My Uncle James, 57, leans back in his chair, arms crossed, watching me with cold amusement. His wife Linda, 54, smirks beside him, her eyes glinting like she's enjoying the show. Vultures, both of them. They've never said it outright, but I know what they think. I'm the failure, the one who didn't measure up. Across the table, a business partner shifts uncomfortably, his fork scraping his plate. Another guest, a cousin, maybe, shoots me a pitying glance, quick and fleeting before looking away. They're all players in this game, spectators to my humiliation. Richard's voice cuts through again, loud, commanding. "Ethan's the only child I'm proud of," he says, slapping Ethan's shoulder. Ethan chuckles, all teeth and arrogance, like he's earned it, like he's ever had to try. I've been here before, ridiculed, mocked, dismissed. Every family gathering, every dinner, every chance they get. My hands tremble under the table, slight, unsteady. I press them flat against my thighs, willing them still. The chandelier glints overhead, casting jagged shadows on the walls. It's suffocating. This room, these people, this weight. I've carried it for years. 28 years of being nothing in their eyes. A meaningless job, they called it. A pathetic little apartment, scraping by. They don't know the half of it, don't care to. But tonight feels different. Heavier, final. My chest tightens, a slow squeeze. Something's shifting. I feel it, deep in my bones. The whispers grow louder, a buzz I can't shake. Linda's smirk widens. James tilts his head like he's waiting for me to crack. I won't. Not yet. But the pressure's building, a storm brewing under my ribs. I glance at Richard. His smirk hasn't faltered. At Margaret, her nod's mechanical, empty. At Ethan, his grin's a challenge, daring me to fight back. I don't. Not yet. Then he moves. Grandfather, Henry Vaughan, 80 years old, rises from his seat. Slow, steady, like a mountain waking up. Silence drops, heavy as a guillotine. The whispers die, the laughter fades. Every eye snaps to him. His hands, old but firm, rest on the table, knuckles white against the wood. His face, unreadable, lined with years, but his eyes burn, sharp and alive. The patriarch. The one they all fear, even Richard. Richard shifts, annoyed. Dad, sit down, he snaps, voice tight. She made her choices. She could have had a comfortable life like Ethan, but no. She picked some meaningless job, some pathetic little hole to live in. His words sting, familiar barbs, but they're weaker now, overshadowed by Henry's presence. Margaret exhales sharply, a quick huff of disappointment, shaking her head like I'm a lost cause. Her hands fold in her lap, perfect, controlled, always controlled. Henry doesn't sit, doesn't flinch. His gaze sweeps the room, slow, deliberate, locking every one of them in place. My heart pounds, a wild thud against my ribs. What's he doing? He's never stepped in before, never cared to. I've seen him watch, silent, all these years. But now he's standing. For me? The thought's a jolt, electric, impossible. It's time you all knew the truth, he says. His voice, calm, firm, cuts through the tension like a blade. My breath catches, jagged in my throat. Truth? What truth? Richard rolls his eyes, a scoff building in his chest. What truth, he says, leaning back, arms crossed. That she's a disgrace? We know that already. His smirk's back, but it's thinner now, less certain. Henry's eyes flash, sharp, disapproving. You're a fool, Richard, he says, voice low, lethal. And you've been blind for too long. The room tenses, air crackling. Ethan shifts, his smugness faltering, just a flicker. Margaret's lips part, a faint crease on her brow. Uncertainty. James and Linda freeze, their amusement gone. My hands unclench, slow, shaky. I don't know what's coming, but it's big. Bigger than this table, this dinner, this family. My pulse races, a drumbeat in my ears. Henry's still looking at me, his gaze steady, kind, but fierce. Like he sees something they don't. Something I've buried deep. Henry's gaze locks on me, Ophelia Vaughan, 28 and invisible, until now. The room tenses, air crackling like a storm about to break. My breath catches, jagged in my throat, as his words hang there, heavy, unshakable. You're the only one in this family who's earned my respect, Ophelia. His voice is steel, steady, cutting through the haze of judgment that's choked this dinner. Murmurs ripple across the table, soft gasps, sharp intakes of breath. Ethan's smugness cracks, just a flicker, his grin faltering as he leans forward. Richard's brow furrows, his smirk slipping into something harder, angrier. Margaret's hands tighten in her lap, her mask of indifference twitching. I stiffen, spine rigid against the chair. Me? Respect? The words don't fit, not after years of being nothing, a shadow in their eyes. Henry doesn't waver. His eyes, fierce and kind, hold mine, daring me to believe it. You think you're so great, Richard, he says, turning to my father, his tone sharp as a blade. You think Ethan's your pride and joy. Let me ask you something. What has Ethan ever built with his own hands? What has he sacrificed for? What has he achieved? On his own? Each question lands like a punch, precise, relentless. The room shifts, unease spreading like wildfire. Ethan's face darkens, a flush creeping up his neck. "Grandpa, what the hell?" he starts, voice rising. But Henry cuts him off, swift and brutal. "Be quiet!" he snaps, his voice thundering through the dining room. Ethan's mouth clamps shut, his jaw clenching so hard I think his teeth might crack. Silence falls again, thick and suffocating. Richard leans back, arms crossed, but his confidence wavers. He's not used to this, not from Henry. Margaret's eyes dart between them, uncertainty creeping into her posture. The guests, James, Linda, the suits, watch, frozen, their amusement replaced by tension. My chest tightens, a different ache now, not shame, but something raw, alive. A rush of emotions claws at me, threatening to spill over. "Henry's been watching," he said. "All these years, silent, while Richard tore me down, while Ethan soaked up praise, while Margaret nodded along. And now he's here, standing for me." "I've seen it all," Henry continues, his voice steady again, unwavering. "You shower Ethan with praise, Richard, no matter how small his wins. You celebrate him while belittling everything Ophelia's done. And yet, she never stopped. She never gave up." His words hit me like a wave, lifting me, breaking something loose inside. "I don't know what's coming, but it's mine." Henry's voice thunders on, years of watching, waiting, spilling out across the table. My hands tremble, slight, unsteady, under the weight of it. He turns to me, his eyes piercing, commanding. "Tell them, Ophelia," he says, firm but urging. "Tell them what you've done." The room holds its breath, every eye on me now, not with pity, not with scorn, but with something new, expectation. Richard scoffs, a harsh bark of disbelief, leaning forward. "You expect us to believe she's done anything?" he says, his voice thick with mockery. "She's a failure, always has been." Margaret softens, just a flicker, a crease in her brow, a slight parting of her lips. Skepticism lingers, but there's something else there too, a crack in her cold facade. Ethan's ready to explode, his fists clenched on the table, his smugness replaced by a simmering rage. I hesitate, my throat tight, my pulse hammering. Tell them? I've spent years hiding it, my work, my life, because of them, because they made me feel unworthy. But Henry's watching, his gaze steady, pushing me forward. "You've got nothing to hide anymore," he says, softer now. "Not tonight." I take a shaky breath, my hands uncurling, pressing flat against the table. "I built my own company," I say, my voice stronger than I expect, ringing clear in the silence. "From the ground up, no handouts, no Vaughn name, no connections." The words feel foreign, bold, like they belong to someone else, but they're mine. A ripple of shock spreads, gasps, murmurs, chairs shifting. Richard's scoff dies in his throat, his eyes narrowing. "What?" he mutters, half laughing, half desperate. Ethan's glare burns into me, but I don't look away. Margaret's hands tremble just slightly as she reaches for her glass. Henry cuts in, his voice absolute. "Believe it, Richard," he says, leaning forward, "because I invested in her company. And guess what? It's now more successful than yours." The room erupts. Gasps fill the air, sharp and loud. James drops his fork. Linda's smirk vanishes. The suits exchange wide-eyed glances. My father's face turns pale, his hands gripping the table's edge. "You're joking," he says, voice hoarse. But Henry's expression doesn't shift. "No joke," he replies, calm, final. "She's outdone you, and you were too blind to see it." I straighten my spine, confidence surging, hot and fierce. "You never cared enough to ask," I say, locking eyes with Richard. "Never cared enough to see me for who I am. You were so busy propping Ethan up, you didn't notice the daughter you wrote off is the one who built something real." My voice carries, steady, lethal. Ethan's chair scrapes back, his breath ragged, but he doesn't speak. Margaret stares at me, her mask slipping further. Regret, maybe, flickering in her eyes. The truth's out now, and it's mine to wield. Gasps choke the room, a tidal wave of shock crashing over the table. Richard's face pales further, his hands shaking as they clutch the mahogany edge. Ethan's jaw clenches, teeth grinding, a low growl building in his throat. Henry reaches into his suit jacket, slow, deliberate, and pulls out a small envelope. With measured precision, he slides it across the table, the sound of paper on wood slicing through the silence. "See for yourself," he says, his voice calm but weighted, a judge delivering a verdict. Richard hesitates, his fingers twitching, before snatching it up. The envelope tears open, legal documents spilling out, crisp, official, undeniable. His eyes scan the pages, frantic, color draining with every line. This isn't possible," he mutters, voice barely above a whisper cracking under the strain. Ethan yanks the papers from him, his own eyes darting across the words, breath coming out ragged. "No way," he spits, slamming them down. "No damn way!" His head snaps toward me, fury blazing. You set us up!" I tilt my head, meeting his glare unflinching. "Set you up?" I say, my voice dropping cold and sharp. "No, Ethan, you did this to yourselves. I just took advantage of the opportunity you handed me on a silver platter." His face twists, red with rage, but he's got nothing, no comeback, no ground to stand on. Margaret finally speaks, her voice softer than I've ever heard it, trembling slightly. You really did all of this?" she asks, her eyes wide, searching mine. I meet her gaze, my heart hammering but steady. "Yes," I say, simple, firm. "I did." Henry delivers the final blow, his voice rising, absolute. "As of tomorrow," he says, "Ophelia owns the controlling shares of your company, Richard. Your empire, it's hers now." The weight of it crashes over the room, a storm breaking loose. Richard's breath hitches, his shoulders slumping, hands shaking harder. Ethan shoots up, his chair clattering back, fists balled like he wants to hit something, anything. "That's not possible," he shouts, voice breaking, but Henry smiles, a slow, satisfied curve of his lips. "Oh, but it is," he says. "I made sure of it." My father looks at Henry, desperation creeping into his eyes. "Dad, you're joking, right? This is some kind of—" "No," Henry cuts him off, his tone final, unyielding. "She didn't just build a company, Richard. She built an empire. And starting tomorrow, it owns you." The silence is suffocating. Richard slumps back, defeated, his arrogance shattered. Ethan's confidence crumbles, his fists unclenching, useless. Margaret looks like she might faint, her glass trembling in her hand. I push my chair back and stand, slow, deliberate, my heart pounding but my head high. For the first time in my life, I'm not the disgrace. I'm the one with the power, and I'm not done yet. The cool night air hits my skin, sharp and clean, a reset after the suffocating dining room. I step outside, my heels clicking against the stone steps, my chest still buzzing from the power shift inside. My head's high, but my heart races, adrenaline pumping through me. This isn't over. Not yet. My phone buzzes in my pocket, insistent, and I pull it out. A message from my assistant glows on the screen. "Everything's in place. Announcement goes live tomorrow, 8 a.m. I smirk. Perfect timing. Behind me, the doors slam open, heavy and furious, wood crashing against the frame. Footsteps pound closer, and I turn just in time to see Ethan storming down the steps, his face twisted, rage boiling over. "You think you won, Ophelia?" He spits, stopping a few feet away, his voice shaking with fury. His fists curl tight, knuckles white, but I don't flinch. I've seen this before. His tantrums, his bluster. All talk, no spine. "You think you can just take everything and walk away like some hero?" His breath's ragged, his eyes wild, but I stand still, unimpressed. "I don't think, Ethan," I say, my voice steady, cutting through his noise. I know. He steps closer, looming, but I don't back down. The night air feels charged now, electric between us. You set me up, he accuses, his voice rising, cracking at the edges. You made me look like a fool. I cross my arms, tilting my head slightly, my tone dropping to a lethal whisper. No, Ethan. You did that all on your own. I just stopped covering for you. His jaw clenches, hard, furious, but he's got nothing left. No real fight. He's always been this way, propped up by Richard, crumbling without the pedestal. His face drains of color, the realization sinking in, but before he can snap back, heels click against the pavement behind him. Margaret steps into view, her expression unreadable, her usual cold demeanor cracked, hesitant. Let's go, Ethan, she says, her voice softer than I've ever heard it, almost fragile. Ethan doesn't move, glaring at me like he could burn me down with his eyes. But he knows. Deep down, he knows. There's nothing he can do. Not anymore. Mom, say something, he snaps, turning to her, desperate. She stays silent, her gaze fixed on me, emotions warring in her eyes. Doubt, regret, something I can't name. Finally she speaks, low and halting. You were always stronger than I gave you credit for, Ophelia. The words hit me, sharp and unexpected, after years of her silence. I nod, just once, my chest tight. I know, I say, and she flinches, turning away, walking off with Ethan trailing, defeated. Morning breaks, and the world wakes up to chaos, my chaos. My phone's vibrating nonstop, a storm of calls and messages lighting up the screen. I scroll through the headlines, sprawled across news sites, buzzing on social media, breaking, corporate giant faces. Takeover as young entrepreneur secures shares. Industry shakeup, CEO, Richard Vaughn. Ousted, the rise of an underdog, me, Ophelia Vaughn, 28 and unstoppable. Every channel, every financial blog, every platform's talking about it. The stunning reversal of power in Richard's company. The one he built, the one he never thought I'd take. I sip my coffee, the bitterness grounding me as the notifications pile up. Investors who dismissed me before now clamor for meetings. Former colleagues, old friends I haven't seen in years, all suddenly desperate to connect. I ignore most of them, letting the noise fade until one name stops me cold. Henry. I answer immediately, pressing the phone to my ear. Morning, Grandpa, I say, my voice steady, calm. They're in shambles, he replies without preamble, a note of satisfaction in his tone. Richard and Ethan showed up at the office first thing, demanding the board. Security had to escort them out. I let out a slow breath, his words settling over me like a victory lap. I'd prepared for this moment, planned it, dreamed it, but hearing it's real, it's something else entirely. They really thought they could stop this? I ask, a faint smirk tugging at my lips. Henry chuckles, low and knowing. Richard's always been blinded by arrogance, and Ethan's too sheltered to see reality. They assumed they were untouchable. He pauses, his voice softening. They know you've won, Ophelia, but they won't go quietly. Be prepared. I already am, I say, firm, unwavering. The line hums with his approval, a quiet pride I've never heard before. I hang up, staring out my window at the city, waking up below. Today's not just about taking control, it's about defining it my way. Unlike Richard, I'm not here to hoard power or crush people. I've got bigger plans, and they start now. The clock ticks toward 9 a.m., time to step into my destiny. I arrive at the corporate office at 9 a.m. sharp, the glass doors parting before me. It's the first time I've walked through them, not as an outcast, but as the one in charge. Security guards straighten as I pass, their nods quick, respectful, nothing like the blank stares I used to get. The elevator ride to the top floor feels surreal, the hum of it steady against my racing pulse. I've spent years imagining this, Richard and Ethan ruling this space effortlessly while I was shut out. Now, it's mine. The doors slide open, and I step into the boardroom. Massive, glass-walled, every seat filled, waiting. The board members turn, faces a mix of nerves, curiosity, doubt. And there, at the far end, are Richard and Ethan. Snuck in somehow, uninvited. Ethan sits, arms crossed, his face twisted in barely contained rage. Richard's composed, too composed, his hands folded, eyes calculating. He's got a plan, I can tell. I take my seat at the head of the table, his old seat, and he stiffens, a crack in his mask. "Good morning," I say, my voice clear, carrying across the room. "We're here to discuss the transition of power. As you know, effective immediately, I'll assume the position of CEO," murmurs, spread. Low, tense. Richard's voice cuts through, quiet but sharp. "That's not happening," he says, leaning forward. "This is still my company." I don't blink, meeting his gaze. "Check the legal documents, Dad. Your shares are gone. You hold nothing." His eyes darken, but he forces a smirk. "You think you can run this place? You've got no experience at this level." I lean forward, my tone unwavering. "And yet, my business has been more profitable in 3 years than this company under your leadership. You let Ethan drive it into the ground, and you were too blind to see it." Ethan's face flushes red, his chair scraping. "You little—" "Sit down, Ethan." Henry's voice booms from the doorway. He's here, watching, his presence a wall. Ethan's mouth snaps shut, fuming. I seize the silence, standing taller. "Let me make one thing clear. I'm not my father. I don't run things through nepotism or arrogance. I earn my place. If anyone here doubts my leadership, you're welcome to resign." No one moves, not one board member, not even the skeptics. Richard exhales, slow, realization hitting him like a brick. "You really did it," he mutters, hoarse, his confidence breaking. "No, Dad," I say, locking eyes with him. "You lost everything. I just stopped letting you hold me back." Security steps in after the meeting, escorting them out. Richard silent, Ethan seething. It's official now. I've taken the throne, and they're gone. I lean back in my chair. It creaks, settling under me. The city skyline sprawls before my office window, a glittering expanse of steel and glass, mine now. Below, Richard and Ethan disappear into the streets, shadows of nothing. I watch from above, my breath steady, my pulse calm for the first time in years. Ethan turns back once, his glare cutting upward, hatred, raw and useless. I don't flinch. He knows it's over even if he won't admit it. They both do. My phone buzzes on the desk, ignored, a faint hum against the silence. The air feels different up here, lighter, free. 28 years of being dismissed, belittled, erased. It's flipped, shattered in a single night. Richard, the man who ruled with an iron grip, has nothing left. Ethan, the golden boy who thought the world was his birthright, stands broken beside him. And me, Ophelia Vaughn, I'm not just standing, I'm soaring. This isn't the ending I imagined all those years, hunched under their scorn. It's better. Cleaner. Mine. I rest my hands on the desk, the cool wood grounding me. This is my future, my empire, built from scratch, not handed to me. No Vaughn name to lean on, no safety net. Just me, my work, my strength. The bitterness fades, a quiet strength taking its place, steady and deep. I won, not just against them, but for myself. The city hums below, alive, waiting. My phone buzzes again, but I let it sit. There's no rush now, no one to answer to. This is it, my destiny, carved out with my own hands. I smile, small, fierce. I won.